You're watching HCAM TV.
Hello, Hopkinton, and welcome to the Hopkinton Hangout Hour for Wednesday night, October 21st. I'm your host, Mike Terosian. And tonight's show, we're going to talk about keeping yourself safe throughout the holidays. We have the holiday season starting next week with Halloween. And so we go right next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas and so forth. So we got our public safety officials together and for an interview. So we're going to start off with Chief Slammer at the fire department, School Resource Officer Ben Stichty from the police department, and then finish it up with Sean McCullough from the Board of Health. So what I'd like to do is start off, we couldn't get Chief Slammer in, but I did talk to him earlier in the day, and here's our interview here. Hey, Chief, thanks for stopping by today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, especially this time of year. I know you're straight out. And thank you for giving me 15 minutes.
No problem, Mike. You're always helping us get the message out, so I'm glad I could be here.
Excellent, and that's what I want to do. So today's show is all about safety throughout the holidays, and we have Halloween coming up first, and we have to get ourselves right through Christmas and New Year. So let's start with Halloween. What's some good tips that you can give us at home and out trick or treating?
Well, I'm definitely not the expert on safety tips for Halloween, but I like giving you a little bit of the information I get out of the fire marshal's office. If I can I take one step back? We just opened up the schools and we worked on our school safety a little bit. We did our drills. We're just coming off of Fire Prevention Week, which was October 4th through the 10th. And this year we were practicing stovetop safety. Putting a lid on it was one of the programs there. We've had some close calls in Hopkinton where people store some materials on a stovetop and you might hit a button or a grease fire gets away from you, and just some simple actions of keeping your stovetop clean and being prepared to use a lid if you have a grease fire type of a thing, or having a fire extinguisher that's appropriate for the kitchen nearby. Those are all good practices. That's kind of a revamp from the last couple of weeks as we head into Halloween. So appreciate you letting me put that plug in there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, of course, October is Fire Prevention Month, but last week was Fire Prevention Week, where everybody tries to get the word out. And of course, how was it not having the open house this year?
That is so much fun, where we literally see 300 to 400 people. That's our big event of the year. We get a chance with the kids. We get to work on staying low. We do the drill where we get them out of a bed and they crawl underneath the smoke, and we use the smoke alarm, and we talk to the parents about having a plan and having an escape plan. So when I don't get that opportunity, it hurts. Hopefully this will kind of fill in the gap for a little while, or we get ahead of this COVID game and we get back into it sooner than later next year. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, but with COVID, we all got to make adjustments. So we're trying to get messages out in different ways. Even on our website, you'll see a few safety tips for Halloween out there. We've been working closely with the police and the Board of Health to get the message out and try to help everybody with their risk assessment, and to try to live a life and have some normalcy, but to be able to still have safety in the calculation. So the community's been doing really well. I think you've heard that in Sean's messages that our rates are down, people are using good practices. When we do make suggestions, people are listening. We're all going to make mistakes, but it's about kind of improving and listening to suggestions and trying to be better the next time we go out. So the community's been great, and it's been positive for us. And hopefully next year when we get another open house, we'll just be talking about more standard stuff.
Right. So it's been great too with the businesses getting to open up again, and the businesses really taking control and leading the way. You see them. I mean, I've never seen so many signs in my life. The sign companies are really making some money these days. The just the importance and the stress, and these are the people that you, these are places that you're going to go and people interact. And it's nice to see that the businesses are taking charge and holding up the rules and the guidelines that you and the Board of Health set forth.
It sets the example, and this is the busiest we've ever been. I don't mean in call volume, but I mean in inspectional services and working with our businesses. And we literally have gone to all the establishments and worked on their plans, and the Board of Health reviews along with Deputy Miller their safety plan. Tom Poyer's been out to each business, and again, it's about suggestions and trying to improve whatever ideas are out there so that we have a good results. And then it sets the example when you go home to your family, and just good practices, everybody showing the continuity of safe practices with COVID.
Right. Now, have you heard of any new guidelines come with trick-or-treating? Anything new down the pipeline?
So,
in town, because later on we will have Sean McCullough come on and School Resource Officer Ben Stichty. They'll be on to give us their point of views as well. But from the fire side, have you heard anything?
well, I think the easiest way is the fire marshal's office has some standard safety tips out there. So it's always to be, you're trying not to create trip hazards. You're trying to make sure that the clothes that the kids are wearing or the adults aren't, they're fire rated in some way, and they're not, fire traps, don't have open flames around, carry a flashlight so that you have visibility. Those are kind of the standard pieces. But I think as we go into COVID, we got to realize that, every single week things change. So, the big question is, are we having Halloween? And we took a different approach where what we're doing is we try to help everybody with the risk factors. So if you have a healthy family and you're able to get out and people are able to leave out treats for you so that you're not able to have, you can maintain social distancing and not have that contact, and then realize that you're not going to take it home and present it to some adult that might be vulnerable. That's like the risk assessment that each family has to go through when they decide, how should I handle Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and beyond. Each, there has to be a lot of thought and calculation. So we're trying to share the risk factors through the handouts that Casey and Sean have developed and produced, and we're getting out there. And then everybody gets to make a decision, and we, try to make a wise decision.
Yeah, it's great. And people are getting real innovative with ways, because they really want to see the kids have a good time,
Yep.
And I've seen people run contraptions on like ropes to shoot the candy out to the kids.
Yep.
I've seen them put tubes on their railings, so they just put their Halloween bucket underneath and they drop the candy through.
Yeah, the tube was on the conference call this week with DPH. Somebody had the idea of a tube, and I just think that's awesome, and it almost brings this new element of surprise and creativity.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks as we approach Halloween, number one, I hope things don't get a lot worse, because that changes the risk factor, and then that you don't get together in big groups, and then if you do go out, there's some of these you mentioned earlier, this trunk or treat type of an idea where
Sure.
we're not getting out of the cars and doing so much socialism. We got to keep broken apart and not have the spread that way. So I love the idea of the tube for somebody to deliver a treat to somebody, and
Yeah.
you still get that fun excitement of receiving it.
I
I
tell
don't
you,
know how my mom's whippy pies are going to go down a tube or not. It'll have to be a big
well,
one.
I was thinking the same thing with Susan and her whoopie pies too. How this is gonna be? We might have to use 6-inch pipe. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So, and of course, like you said, reflective flashlights,
Yep.
flashing lights, blinking lights, whatever. And of course, no more large groups used to be good because you could see a bunch at once, but large groups aren't good now because of COVID. I'm dying to see some of these costumes this year. I just found out that the high school will be doing their little parade with the Hopkins school,
Okay.
which the seniors dress up for. So I'm going to be really interested. They get very creative, and I'm going to see what COVID has really done to them.
Yeah.
So now we move on, and things are getting colder. And just the other day, I finally took the air conditioner out of the window, and I had to turn the heat on.
Yeah, we just moved an air conditioner out today here, so yeah,
Right.
It's the time of year.
So, tell us what happens when people turn the heat on for the first time, Chief? What usually happens?
Yeah, so we're always worried anything that's any appliances that are burning fossil fuels. We're always worried about carbon monoxide. I think that's the one thing that um, is a surprise this time of year. So people need to be worried about that their appliances are working properly and that they're ventilated properly. So this time of year, if you need to have an expert come in and just check your appliance, if it's an oil burner or a gas furnace, and make sure that something didn't build a nest in the chimney or create some type of a blockage, or there's some maintenance. If you have a wood stove, same thing. You want to make sure that the flue is checked and that it's clean before you start your burning cycle. We got a little taste of this just in the storm we just had. Shout out to the DPW crew for the way they were able to work on so much devastation out in the streets. But the one thing we did run into is everybody starts generators up for alternative power, and then there's these carbon monoxide issues that you want to make sure any equipment like that needs to be outside. You need to have a professional do the hookup. Messing with electricity or having carbon monoxide inside, those are deadly things. We're not talking about small time stuff. These are deadly incidents. And so going into the winter season, I'd ask everybody, take a look at your detectors, make sure that they're it's 7 years on carbon monoxide, 10 years on a smoke detector. It's a great opportunity to change the battery when we switch the clocks. So take a look at your house. These are your protection systems. They need to be maintained like you maintain your car and like you maintain your health. You need to have these systems in place so that we can keep our volume down and worry about other emergencies. I don't want to go to carbon monoxide emergencies. They are very preventable.
You're absolutely right. And the generated one is the big issue. And the one thing that happens is usually the people that have those problems are the ones that, aren't prepared with the professional connection.
Right.
And these are the ones that not only will run them inside the garage because it's their first time doing it, but they also won't shut off the main breaker, which winds up energizing the lines down the street, which now make it unsafe for other people
Right.
and line workers that are working on the poles because the lines are supposed to be dead.
Exactly.
So there's a lot more to it. So great point on the generators. That's awesome. And please, don't use your stove to heat your house either. That's
And it's a nice opportunity to think about, our seniors and our veterans are out there right now and they might not have had a lot of contact. So it's a chance for you to give them a call and give them see if they've been able to get somebody in to check on some of their equipment and make sure that their heat's doing okay or not, because they're the ones that really kind of get stuck in this COVID more than anybody. They're not able to get out as much, and it's dangerous for them to get out, so they're even more dependent on these systems. So if you think of it, check with your neighbor. That's the best system we have in Hopkinton. I hear a lot of success stories of our seniors working together with either another senior or somebody else in town, and they're solving problems, and that's the joy of being in Hopkinton.
right. All right, so now the heat's on, and now maybe you might have family come home. Maybe the kids might come home from college. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen, but I think there's going to be some meals being cooked on Thanksgiving. What's the big thing that people have to be careful on Thanksgiving time?
Boy, well, I know the one we've been lucky that we haven't faced it a lot, but putting a frozen turkey in an oil cooker is about the worst thing you can do. I don't know if you just saw, there was a video last week of in Framingham, somebody had put the video out of a worker putting water into an oil cooker and it literally exploded in fire. And so that's the one where I think we've gotten the word out pretty good. That probably the worst. When the self cookers kick in an oven, that's always a challenge for some people because they're not sure how to get it open and it's burning off and things like that. But watching your stovetop, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, making sure you don't have debris around it and don't leave it while it's cooking. You need to be paying attention when you're cooking your meal. So that's the big safety tip that I can offer.
Definitely use your timers. Don't get distracted. Don't walk away from it.
It's hot surfaces. That's when a child, can something like a little thing of gravy or hot water can turn a beautiful holiday into a horrible, horrible event. So, again, think of your vulnerable people, your seniors and your kids when you're doing these things. And I'm kind of interested in what you're going to hear from Sean and Casey, because as far as COVID goes in the holidays, at a government level, we tend to build our recommendations off of the CDC and the locally or statewide DPH, and they're really starting to worry about the college kids coming home and bringing a lot of stuff with them. And if they do, they're not even going to send them back to school. So
right.
Family needs to sit down and really evaluate that with the most up-to-date information. And having a big family Thanksgiving, I just talked to my mom, and it's going to be me and her socially distancing.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So
I think you gotta get the little bird this year, not the big bird.
yeah.
So yeah, and I hear colleges are saying, if you go home, stay home. Don't come back. So all right, now we're getting into Christmas time, and I hope it snows well after Christmas, or if it doesn't snow at all, I'll be happy.
But I just heard it's going to be a warm winter. The Farmer's Almanac and something. No, I don't know about them, but somebody just predicted we're going to be warmer this year. So I'm hoping that helps us with ice safety and things like that. I don't want to.
So you have ice safety, but around the house, around the Christmas time, we got decorations.
Yep.
And we have snow. One or two things that we have to watch for with our decorations and power and so forth.
I feel like I'm on a quiz today from Firefighter Mike here. So, decorations are big with candles are high in burning, decorations, whether they're flammable, if they have a power source, all of those were factors in fires last year in Hopkinton. That I can tell you directly. So they're real things. Snow, you got to watch out for your heater vent, because we go back to carbon monoxide, and we've got a few areas around here where the snow falls off of the roof and then piles up near the vent, and it blocks it. And I literally send letters out this time of year to some of the areas. We have some condos that are really challenged, that they have to, they're really good. They go out and maintain it, but I have to keep on them because I don't want to wait and react to an incident.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you got to clear it, because it might have got 6 inches of snow, but we had high winds and the drifted across the street.
Exactly.
The neighbor might be bare, but you got 3 feet in your yard. Always got to check those vents and keep them clean. And hey, while you're out there, clean your dry vents too. Why not, right?
Exactly. No, and dryer vents you just brought up another great one. You've got the source of heat from a dryer, and we about 2 years ago, we caught a dryer fire down on East Main Street.
Yep.
It gets the vent, and the lint in the vent gets going, and that's another dangerous thing. We've really held the fires in check, so it's nice to get all these tips out and have people react to them, and make sure your lint trap is clean, and make sure it vents out good.
Right, and and I want a big thank you to you, and of course your fire prevention department. Tim and Tom do a great job educating the people, educating the kids. I bet they can't wait to get back into the schools, huh?
They've been able to do a little work with the schools. Like I said, we're practicing the exit drills, but just trying to really demonstrate that social distancing makes it a challenge, because we're used to getting close to kids and saying hello to them and having fun with them. And it's just this whole COVID thing has really made that tough. But I bet you they've already come up with some good solutions. I got to go check with them next.
I'm sure they have. And so final words before we pass it off to and go visit Sean and Ben. What would you like to tell the public to do with this cold season coming up? What's the best tip you can give them?
Hey, I went and got my flu shot today. So that's the one thing that I did. So I can tell you, And, but I want to say thank you to the public, because it's, the larger tip is some patience. The health department is working really hard, and our ability to live a normal life has been challenged right now. But in Hopkinton, the patience level has been great. There's some other places that haven't done so well, and I just thank the community to give us a chance, try to work through the risk together, and try not make smart decisions. That's the best we can do as a community, which is keeping our color has been good. We've been in the opaque green versus the red, and it's not by accident. So I give the Board of Health a lot of kudos to the work they've done, and I've enjoyed working with the police, just trying to keep our agencies delivering service during this time, and everybody's done well. So thank you for letting us get the message out.
Excellent, Chief. And thanks for coming on, and maybe we'll get you back, after the new year, and and maybe we'll be talking about something more fun.
That sounds great. Thank you, my friend.
Take care, Chief. Wow. To carry on with that safety, sorry about that. Carry on with that safety discussion. We're gonna go to the blue team, and we have school resource officer Ben Stichty. How we doing, Ben? Oh, you got on mute too.
That helps. There you go.
There
How
we
you doing,
go.
Mike?
I did it. You did it. I love live shows. So Ben, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. We're glad to have you on. We don't have you on enough. Yeah, I mean, you got enough to do with COVID keeping you busy. So we're hoping when things get back to normal, we'll have you more on and talk about all the fun stuff that you do in your job as one of our 3 SROs.
Absolutely.
Great. So as you heard Chief Slayman talking about some of the things that we're preparing for the holidays, and we're, Halloween coming up next week, and you know, I know you remember this growing up in town, having the little Halloween parades and so forth, and with the police department was always present. So now you get to help the kids. How can we help kids be safe for Halloween?
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle this year. You know, traditionally it's always been get a nice group of kids together, get everybody out there, have some fun, and it's quite the opposite this year. And Chief Slamman touched on a lot of those points. It's really going to be a case by case family decision on what the health of your family is, what your household makeup is, and whether it's worth going out or not. If you do make that decision to go out, we're telling everyone kind of the same boilerplate stuff. We want everyone to dress appropriately, make sure that they're carrying a flashlight or a light source, make sure they're not dressed in complete dark clothing. But some of the new COVID things that have come out, that we're following the guidelines, just like Chief Slamman said. If you're wearing a costume that has a mask, that's not going to be enough to count towards a normal mask that you would wear during the COVID crisis. They're suggesting you still wear the 3-ply medical mask. You're still supposed to be practicing social distancing. So again, going out in very small groups, we don't suggest going out alone. If you can't find someone else to go with, you may have to sit it out this year, but, staying with the household, your family, relatives, people that are healthy, that haven't been exposed is what we're trying to kind of get the message across to everybody.
Yeah, and even though let's all COVID aside, and again we're learning, and hopefully nothing's been canceled yet. We just teetered into the green now, but people shouldn't forget the regular stuff. And I'm going to go back to my days, and I'm just a couple years older than you, so my mother always checked the candy, and I thought it was for safety until I became an adult, and I found out she just wanted the Mars bars or the or the peppermint patties before I got to them. But yeah, do not snack while you're trick or treating. Was always taught to me. And I mean, can you remember any basic tips?
That's a great rule, Mike. Absolutely. I mean, Hopkinton's a fantastic community. We have some awesome residents, but it's always good to play on the safe side. Go out, get your treats, come home, make sure mom and dad takes a look at them. Make sure you're not eating anything that might be, nothing that you recognize, open packages, broken packaging, something that just looks suspicious. It's not worth it. Discard it. Make sure somebody looks it over. We knock on wood, we haven't had an incident in town regarding any of those issues, but you always hear every year there's a couple other towns that pop up with some interesting stories. So err on the side of caution. Have an adult check whatever you've taken in for the night, and that way the kids don't eat too much as well, and they're not bouncing off the walls when it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, I know. You met my kids, Yes. And All right, so let's a little advice for the kids that want to be their heroes. They want to be that police officer, that soldier, that cowboy. Um, what about their costumes, accessories would you recommend they not do?
So we're definitely suggesting, wearing things that people can see, being visible. As far as going out, carrying any type of props, especially as you're getting a little bit older in the trick or treating ages. Replica firearms, replica military attire, or things of that nature, and running through people's yards is definitely going to cause some alarm. Even though it's Halloween, it's kind of expected. A lot of people kind of understand that. But you run up onto a senior resident's yard that's not expecting you, or people that aren't participating. If there's a house that has their lights off, that clearly aren't observing the Halloween holiday, and they see you running through their yard, we're going to get some calls on that. So be smart. Maybe if it's looking a little too realistic and you're thinking that maybe it could be an issue, you're probably right. You should probably leave it at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, back in my day, they didn't have. I mean, all the replicas look real, and
Yeah.
like even the little cap guns, so even the little zebra BB guns, they all look real. Now today, they are very distinct. The toy ones, the replicas are very distinct, but they still have those. What would they call that? Airsoft guns, or
Yep.
they have all those other replicas that. Yeah. You just don't want to be out there. You hear the stories.
Yeah, a lot of kids, there's a big market for the airsoft guns, the paintball guns, the replicas, and it's innocent. We've never really had any issues with kids, carrying them around, but they think on Halloween they get a little extra slack, and
Right.
sometimes a neighbor calls and we have to interact with them, and you never know what you're walking into sometimes.
I mean, and of course, they're not doing it this year, the senior assassin at the high school. But I remember hearing the calls on the scanner go out, and they got big squirt guns like cannon, super soakers, and
Yep.
you still get the firearm calls for that. So that's something that obviously looks like a toy, but to somebody that looked like a gun. So having a real gun, real looking gun, is
Yep.
going to make it even worse.
And
Great
we've got
tips.
some open hunting seasons right now, so we've got hunters throughout town.
Sure.
So if there's people running through the woods, we've got people out there hunting. So there's definitely could be a mix of people that are supposed to have firearms, people that aren't. So like you said, we always get a call no matter what, whether it's completely fake looking or the real thing. People are calling us, so just be
Sure.
smart.
Now, one of the big things that I want to talk about, and of course, Halloween being a big safety, and of course, everyone remembers Harry Carver leading the parade of kids downtown for the little Halloween trick or treating and so forth. But there's a lot more to the holiday seasons other than Halloween safety, and I mean, you're not going to tell me about how to, deep fry a turkey safely. That's what we had Chief Slammer for, but. Um, it seems like scams are being more and more prevalent now. I got 3 today on the cell phone: Social Security office, IRS, and my auto warranty department.
It's the worst
Just
one.
today. I mean, what else are they doing?
So when COVID hit, our scams went through the roof, but now we're starting to enter into our normal scam season. People are doing a lot of online shopping. They're exposing their credit cards, their personal information on multiple different websites. And as you probably know, the COVID scam for unemployment fraud has just crushed us. We're getting 10, 15 a week of people just in town that have been victims of these crimes. But they go as far, there's phishing scams. We had a resident call. He thought he received an email from someone that he had trusted. He ended up, sending some money to that person and it wasn't who we thought he was. And that's a very common scam. They usually target senior residents. And a lot of times what they do is they'll call and say, hey, your grandson's in jail. He's in the hospital. They're hurt. We need you to send us some money to help take care of his legal fees or his hospital bills. And we've had people send tens of thousands of dollars and it's gone. One of the bigger new scams is gift cards, believe it or not. They're coaxing people into getting gift cards and paying for them, and then giving them the code. And then once they get the code, they take all the money off of it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's a pretty important one to know, because the banks are kind of starting to push back, and they're saying that that's really not fraud, even though it is. But you were the one that made the purchase and you chose to give that information away. No one stole your information. You made a purchase. You took that information and you provided to someone. So a lot of people are losing money and not getting it back on those scams.
Yeah, and they got scammed on something, whereas, you made a legit purchase and the purchase is done, and now you just freely gave that information away. Not their fault. They're not going to give you your money back.
Yep.
And that's terrible, because I love my credit cards. They send me a text every time there's a purchase on it, and if there's a purchase and my card is not in my hand, then I know something bad's happened, and boom, right away they shut things down, credit it, and send you new cards, which is great. But that gift card thing, it's one of the worst.
And that's exactly what we're telling folks when they call us is make sure you have alerts on your phone. Make sure that you're signed up for credit reporting. You can actually lock your credit report. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but if you go onto one of the 3 credit rating bureaus, you can lock your credit report so that if someone does get a hold of your information, they can't apply for a loan or do anything like that, get a credit card. Make sure that you're checking your statements. I know it's easy, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but that's how these people really start racking up money is, you're not checking your statements, you're not getting the alerts, you don't have the fraud protection set up. And just about every credit bureau, every credit card, every banking institution has multiple different layers of fraud protection. It takes some time. It's a little tedious, but if you sign up for it, it's going to save you a huge headache in the long run.
I agree. And I tell you, it may seem like a hassle. You're trying to make a purchase and they won't let the card through. Yeah. You might have to make a phone call saying why. Well, they felt it was suspicious. Somebody's watching out for me. I think that's great because, I don't always eat at the 5-star fancy restaurant. I'm usually at McDonald's. Okay. And it's so they see the 5-star pop in. They're going to think for sure. And you appreciate that kind of security. And having that protection is a good feeling. And
it's a lot easier to tell them that it's legitimate than to convince them it wasn't.
Correct. What about now, this being 2020, and what happens every 10 years is the census? Have you heard of any census scams?
No, we've been very lucky. We haven't had any census issues that I know of this year. We push a lot of that info out on Facebook, on our department Facebook page and Twitter, letting people know that there's census workers in town. And the census workers are great. They wear their badging. They make it known who they are. We haven't had any real issues with that. But something we have had issues with, especially coming close to Christmas and things like that, is package theft.
Yeah, I was just going to get into that. Excellent.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right,
no, that's fine. That's right. I'll just sit here. Just keep talking about it. You're
good. Package theft, huge issue. I don't know many people that don't shop online on Amazon, and they got the giant blue vans. And one of the bigger scams is that people literally just follow the Amazon driver around. And they drop a package and they pick it up. And they drop a package and they pick it up. And, we've got some apartment complexes in town now where, there's, common vestibules or common areas where they'll leave multiple packages and people just go in and they grab their Amazon package and they go. And that's a big thing. Once the package is gone, it's very difficult for us to really track that person down or really have any information. If the package gets delivered at 8:00 in the morning, you don't notice till 5:00 at night. 200 people could have walked by
Yeah.
that area
sure.
and grabbed it. So we really advocate for even Amazon has those services. FedEx, I believe UPS might. You can delay a delivery on the app. You can ask them to leave it in a specific area. I've even seen some houses have package drop off boxes where they leave it unlocked, and once the driver opens it and puts the package in, it locks so that nobody can access it unless you have the code. So there's definitely some different tips out there on how to protect yourself from package theft.
One of the new ones that I saw for Amazon, it's which they have with all their security devices, but they can automatically open the garage door to deliver the package.
Yep.
It's just amazing. So that's nice and inside, and I think it's great, and you love having those Ring doorbells. I'm sorry, spend the $99 to get yourself a Ring. Keep an eye out there. It helps you guys. And one of the things that I love about it is it also gives me information about my neighbors. When I hear that 5 streets away, somebody had this guy take a package off their porch, and it gets your neighbors up alerted, and it also helps identify maybe a perpetrator for the police.
Look, I see you taking all the good information from me. That was my next line.
Ah!
I was gonna say we
I
don't,
can do
as
it
a
too.
caveat, we don't endorse any specific product, but I can tell you that cases that we have had with Ring doorbells, we've been very successful in identifying vehicles and people. And like you said, it's short money. There's a ton of different products out there. You can research them yourself and determine what's best for you. But the prices and the technology over the years has come down so much that it's really worth the $100-200 investment and putting a couple of outdoor cameras, a doorbell camera, a garage sensor camera out there, and lighting. Lighting is a big thing, especially in a town like Hopkinton. You got a 150-yard driveway and you're surrounded by woods. That can be a good target, but you have driveway lighting, you have house lighting. Criminals don't look for those houses. They look for the ones that are dark,
Yep.
that it's clear no one's home. So keeping your lights on outside and inside is a great way to deter crime.
And I don't know if you remember, but in the early '90s, they took away a lot of streetlights in town.
Yeah,
They moved to, making things more efficient and so forth. And
sure.
so one of the things that I know people like to do, and I like to do sometimes, is buy off eBay, Craigslist, or Facebook. But you know what? I don't want these people come to my house. I don't want to go to their house. Um, what do you recommend they do to safely do a transaction?
So we're lucky at the police department. We have a designated safe exchange, safe sale parking space right in the front of the building. It's monitored by a camera. And obviously, you're right in front of the police department. So it would be a little out of the ordinary for someone to act up there. But most police departments have that. And even if they don't have it labeled, we always suggest going to a public area, a police department, a fire department, any public building that you know is occupied. Don't do it at night.
Right.
You want to make those sales in daylight business hours, in well-populated areas. And something that not everyone always thinks of, but the National Crime Prevention Council, the NCPC, actually has a guide to counterfeit electronics, which is a big thing that's come up recently. People are selling Apple AirPods that are really not Apple products. And they're scamming a lot of people with these fake products.
Right.
So if you're buying something, if you're meeting up with someone, do your due diligence. Make sure that the product you're buying is legitimate. Make sure that the seller is reputable, especially on those eBay websites, Amazon,
Yep.
Facebook Marketplace. You can always kind of research the person a little bit, and then if it seems too good to be true, it is.
It is. Excellent, Ben. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your time. Uh, uh, it's just great to have you here, and I want to have you back again. There's other stuff I want to talk about, so we'll get you back on. But I have to move over to our interview that I had to do earlier with Board of Health Director Sean McAuliffe, and he talks about how to stay healthy and safe over the holidays. So we recorded this interview on Monday. Ben, thanks again.
Sounds good, Mike. Have a good night.
Sean, hey, thanks for taking the time out of your day. I know you're out straight, and since normally we miss having you every week for the 1 hour update and so forth, but now you're gonna bring it into 20 minutes. So basically, today's show, safety through the holidays. We got I think Halloween coming up first, and let's talk a little safety. So we already heard from Chief Slammin and Officer Stichty, but we want a Board of Health angle. So uh, Halloween safety, there's a little bit of health concerns. I mean, there's some new guidelines and so forth that are coming out.
Yeah. So, um, because we start at, we started at the gray level. We're actually at the green risk level now. So Hopkinton is in a better position to allow activities such as normal trick or treating. So as the governor keeps on reinforcing, we can look at these events and add some engineering to them and then maintain some sort of normalcy. So what we've done is, there is the Faith Community Church came up with an innovative plan that we ran by the state, and they're running a mobile trunk or treat where cars will come in, they'll pay a fee, they'll drive through a whole bunch of decorated cars, and they get a candy gift bag when they exit. And then for standard Halloween, it's we want this is a night for families, so we want a parent to go out with the children, that they should wash their hands before they go out. They should carry hand sanitizer. The family, we want to keep these tight knit family nucleuses, or nuclei. So it's a parent and their children. Other family groups should maintain, a 6-foot distance. Everybody should be wearing a face covering. Just take the time to allow people to go up the stairs, collect candy from a bowl, or if residents want to get fancy and shoot candy down a PVC tube or something, we're allowing residents to be a little innovative. And then we know that there are residents that don't want to participate. So if you don't want to participate with Halloween, don't put your light on. But as Tom Bodette from says,
Yeah, right.
You want the guests, put the light on, and then kids will come down. You want to keep your distance from the kids that are trick-or-treating. So either stay inside your storm door and just have the candy on the porch. Or just, if you want to go outside, just make sure that you're 10 plus feet, away from the kids coming up your path.
I'm dying to see all the innovative way that they hand out candy. I've already seen on the social media, someone created a zip line that they sent the candy out to the kids, and in the bag of it had a couple adult beverages for the adults.
Right.
I mean, they brought back. I see another one that installed a tube on his railing.
Right.
Just shot the candy down the tube, and so I'm dying to see what we're gonna find when we go out there. This is gonna be very interesting. One of my big things is to see what the kids are gonna create for their costumes this year.
And at the end of the day, if parents are just watching their kids, and this is a night for younger children.
Right.
I've been working with the schools to provide another outlet for the high school students. But what we don't want is indoor parties. You're only allowed to have 25 people in your home as it is. Yep. So it's those close confined events where you have multiple families. Those are just a recipe for disaster. And at the end of the day, we're still in a pandemic, and
that's right.
We want to limit and control our risk in town, because all you got to do is take a look at the risk maps for the region, and we're that one little island of green, and if we want to get back to an island of gray, we just need the residents in Hopkinton to focus on, risk and doing things safely.
Yeah, we're what, month number 7 now. There's ways to do it, and I'm sure people are smart enough and can realize you can make things work.
Right.
Fall within the guidelines and still have a good time.
Right. And that's the thing that's, like what we're starting to see are, incidents where people are getting a little cute with the rules. And I'm like, this just isn't the time. It's just not the time to get cute. We mentioned earlier, I've got people that are sneaking down to a high risk state, only to find out that their whole airplane just got quarantined and they got caught up in that quarantine. There are people that are trekking down to, certain resort areas down south, only to find out that, there's an outbreak at these resort areas, and you just don't want to expose your, like you don't. The questions you got to ask is, can I afford to have my kids out of school for 14 days? If my kids are out of school for 14 days, because maybe one of them's a contact, there's a potential that I'm going to be out of work for 14 days. And if you can't just throw your hands up and say, it doesn't matter, then, then all the power to you. But then I don't want you circulating around the town, putting everybody else at risk. I just asking people to, just buckle down and to make sure that they're taking this seriously.
All right, so be safe. Don't drop your guard. Yes, you're wearing a mask, but the kids' mask, like the plastic, the ones that we used to wear with the elastic around it. You're gonna wear a mask under that because you obviously have breathing holes. And there's a good chance for all the doctors and all the cowboys and everybody to come up with something that looks like it belongs.
Right.
So, all right, and of course, when it comes to receiving candies, it's like everything else.
It's the standard.
It's a standard rule. Check for the razor blades of the apples. Mom always says, I'm checking for razor. I never got an apple, but she still checked it. And then I learned, growing up as an adult, that's where she got all the good candy.
Right, and then it's not going. It just like before. It's going to the homes, staying in the neighborhoods, and if again, like these are all precautions that we have built into our normal everyday life. So we're just asking you to add a couple little extras.
Right. So now, here we go. We're going into November now. The businesses have opened up more. How's that been working out? Everyone still behaving themselves? I see a lot of places put in a lot of extra precautions to get their seatings up and to welcome the public. And I love going into a regular store and watching the clerks and owners and managers do a lot of policing because they know they don't want to get closed down. They were closed down for how long? And now they get a chance to open and actually start, making some of that money that they spent to open again.
Right.
And you have to respect them. And I tell you, it must make your job easier with everyone policing themselves the way they are.
Right. And, I'll use a local establishment as an example. They had good policies and procedures in place. Someone came to work and said, hey, I just found out that someone in my household, they went home today because they weren't feeling good. And they said, oh, you're going home yourself because we can't afford to take that risk. And then the household member tested positive. And then everybody in the household is now tested positive. And they, because they were following their own policies, they're still open. And they dodged another, near bullet today. And it's because they've got those good policies in place. And again, I'll do anything I can to help you stay in business.
Well, that's the thing. Your department, the fire department, the police department, everybody is there to help. And you're not there to, look for this problem, look for that problem. You're there to help them solve problems.
Right.
You want them to open up. Everyone wants to be open for business. Everyone wants to be working, and you're there to help. And that's that's what everyone appreciates.
Right.
So
And that's the tough thing, is because I'm the enforcer, but that's something that we'd rather educate and do everything we can to help you operate safely. And then one of the other issues that we're finding is that not everybody is applying the law the right way. So there's certain establishments that are offering certain activities outside of town, and that goes back to the old adage, just because your friends jumped off the bridge, like I don't want you to have and carry that insurance exposure.
sure.
And so it's like whatever it takes for you to follow the law. And if you've got a question, like I take all my questions that I receive right up to the top people in the state who are actually writing the regulations. So um, I like, and I've got a good enough reputation with them that we're getting answers within a day or so.
That's
So,
excellent. So now we're getting into, again, the rest of the holidays. And, it's funny. I just went to go buy Halloween candy myself, and the Christmas stuff is already out. But
yeah.
I'm not going right to Christmas. We do have Thanksgiving. And, other than making sure your bird is cooked, salmonella, don't put the poultry on the same board as the vegetable, whatever. You don't really have much to do around Thanksgiving time for health, but under COVID, you got a little bit extra. You got people coming back from out of state, from colleges, and school sports.
Right. So like Thanksgiving's all about planning. It's who's going to come, when are they arriving, when do I have to have the meal out, how long is it going to take to prepare. Um, so just like any traditional Thanksgiving, it's making sure that you got the bird. I don't care what you say about trying to cook a frozen bird, it's not going to cook. So it's just taking those food preparation precautions, doing some things in advance, having a schedule. But just like that, if you listen to, Dr. Fauci, he's probably not going to have Thanksgiving at his house this year.
Right.
It's again, focusing on your family, your immediate family. It's not it's taking the time to figure out, is my child that might be at college, or my child that travels for business, that's out in the West Coast, are they going to be able to get into town, get tested before they arrive? And so you got to meet the travel order requirements. You want to come in, you don't want to bring in infection into the home, especially if you've got a highly susceptible family member in home.
Sure.
So this is all stuff that you need to plan for. And like I may have my in-laws come up from Jersey, but they're going to get tested. My wife and I are going to get tested. We might get the kids tested, just so that we can assure that everybody in the home is illness-free, because I'll tell you, no one wants my wife's job. No one wants my job.
Right.
And I want my kids
Right.
go to school full time. So I don't want to interrupt their studies. So these are the things that we're going to have to do before Thanksgiving.
And you also have to decide too, here's the other decision makers with kids coming back from college for Thanksgiving. The one of the biggest things is, are they going to be allowed back? Because what did their
Right.
school decide? The school says, hey, you went back home, don't come back. Or and if you do come back, or you gotta get tested first, you're talking Thanksgiving. When are you gonna get tested before you get back? I mean, look at the timing. You're gonna miss a lot of school before you can get tested and be able to go back.
Yeah, like my kids, their school just said, this is going to be such a mess on the backside of this. We're going to require that the kids stay home for 2 weeks.
Nice.
Until they can get everything sorted out. So they're building in a quarantine into the back end of the holidays.
Wow.
Actually into the back end of almost every holiday. And so then I, as a parent, have to, make those accommodations to my schedule. And again, um, it's a lot of planning, and we're all tired,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but you still got to do these little things to, make sure that, again, you're not having a major oops in the household.
So now here we are. We only have a few minutes left, but we're going into the Christmas and New Year. And there's two big party types. You have the office Christmas party, which
Yeah.
will probably be done virtually as well. I had one friends, their great idea. Their business manager throughout all the offices are all over the country. And everyone's staying home. They're going to do a Zoom Christmas party. And they mailed all the like little nips with all the mix.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what's your favorite drink? They're going to send it to you. They're all going to do a toast kind of thing and have a little Zoom. Great
Yeah.
ideas.
Right,
People
right.
not gathering and look at it. It's more fun. You can record it. That's like, hey, look at this video from last year. All these kind of things. Just there's so many innovative ways. You don't need a large group. And I'm dying. I haven't seen my brothers and sisters and my nephews and nieces, my own kids. My daughter down in North Carolina. I have not been able to. I have not been able to see her.
Right.
It's killing me.
And so as we get into the holidays, it's we've got to be innovative. We need just to recognize that this season is the start of cold and flu season. There's going to be more illness, so we just got to be that much more planful. Like whatever I'm with Casey right now, it's like, because we're out and about on the weekends with our kids, like I'm wearing my mask all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we're not taking that risk personally. And
Right.
then we're dealing with God, we've had 18, 19 cases since really the end of September.
Sure.
And the average age of the cases, we're down at an average age of 27. A lot of them are it's work related. It's we think about Thanksgiving sports. We're seeing a number of cases related to high school and some collegiate athletics. So it's making sure that you're taking those precautions. And really, my advice is just avoid those high risk. If you want to have a good kind of worry-free family Thanksgiving and then Christmas, it's really going to take making some sacrifices ahead of time to make sure that you're reducing your exposure.
And last words are, get your flu shot. And
Yeah.
you are, real quickly, we got about a minute. Real quickly, we have more opportunities for flu clinics in town, correct?
Right. And we're getting a shipment the next day or so. We'll be hosting at least 2 clinics within the next 2 weeks. And then we're ordering more because we know that need's going to exist.
Right. So we'll stay tuned on HCAM, our website, hopkintonma.gov. Plenty of places that you'll find out about how to get your flu shot from the town. Sean, thank you again. All the best to your family and everyone there at the Board of Health. Keeping us safe. Thank you very much for your time today.
You're welcome, and take care of yourself.
Yeah. Well, that takes care of the public safety edition of the show. Having a special thanks to Chief Slamman, SRO Stichty, and of course, Health Director Sean McAuliffe, to giving us some good tips on how to stay safe through the holidays as they come up. I want to remind everyone to tune in next week to the Hopkinton Hangout Hour when we sit down and talk a little library stuff. We haven't had Director Heather Bachman and some trustees and other librarians are going to come on the show, let you know how they're still helping you throughout all this fun old COVID stuff. So with that, I also want to tell people, tune in tomorrow at 6:30 for HCAM News Live, followed by The Gathering, where we're going to have a haunted dinner. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night.